Hi, I'm Dominique Blocker with City TV. Welcome to Inside Santa Barbara, the city's only news magazine show. We bring you up to date on the city's most significant issues, projects, and events. Homelessness has long been a problem in our community, but recently the city has embarked on a comprehensive and innovative approach by first finding out who is on the streets and then the most effective ways to help them.
Homelessness, a problem that affects all aspects of society. In Santa Barbara, the issues surrounding homelessness ripple into our community's ability to provide adequate housing and to feed the poor, to the cost of health care and the patient load in our emergency rooms, to the crime on our streets and police services, to the tourism industry and the economic health of local businesses. All the issues are interconnected and the solutions complex. Two recent efforts undertaken by the city and the community are showing positive results by providing data that will help put a face to the issue and get people the help they need to pull themselves off the streets.
Restorative policing is best explained by the department's approach to people that are chronic problems, nuisance problems. Typically what we find are people that are homeless or soon to be homeless are trapped in a reoccurring state of either mental illness and or drug dependency. And we get called when they're involved in some nuisance-related problem resulting in negative police contact. As a result, they just keep entering the system, going in, getting incarcerated. Eventually, they're back out on the streets.
The police department establishes personal contact with this population with the goal of breaking the cycle of citation, incarceration, and addiction.
I think we're building credibility with the people on the streets. We're building alliances with other care providers and people that we can draw from for their expertise. Ultimately, the idea is to get them back on track, to get them into a care facility to address their personal needs.
Officer Keld Hove is assigned to the restorative policing program and is out on State Street and in the Milpas area on a daily basis.
None of these people really prefer to be living like that. There are just so many things that have gone wrong along the way, so many missteps, so many wrong turns, that it's difficult for them to unravel it. But when you get into the conversation and it's in the inevitable that you are going to jail for that violation at the time, the options on what can we do so we don't go back to this again tomorrow, the next day, and so on, is what comes up. And then we'll make the plans. I'll pick them up the next day at jail. If they get extended jail times, I'll come meet them in jail, I'll talk to them in jail, and I'll line up programs for them. Programs could be reunification with family. It could be going back to a place that you have better success. Maybe you've been in a program somewhere else before. It could be the local detox center first, so that you can prepare yourself to go out and then take on these bigger things.
In the first year of the restorative policing program, the police department transitioned 75 people off the streets. In the second year, that number rose to well over 200. In one success, Officer Hove was integral in helping a homeless man originally from the San Francisco Bay Area.
A man has been on the streets for 25 years, in town for 10 years. He was a good, strong, hard-working man that had enough pride to not accept what he was in, but couldn't find his way out of it. He used to work with gorillas up at the Gorilla Foundation. Coco, the signing gorilla from the fame of National Geographic 25 years ago, he used to be a handler of that gorilla. Got him into a program, got him detoxed, got him into a program, went to his graduation. Following the graduation, well, just before the graduation, lined him up, asked him, do you want to go back and work there? Because he talked so passionately about it. And he said, if I can, I'd love to, but I don't think I can. So I asked him permission, he gave me permission, I contacted them and lined up a job for him. He got back to work with the gorillas again.
The police department is finding that the restorative police program has benefits to the department as well as to individuals on the street.
It does reduce our calls for service because we're talking about the people that are 90% of our problem. 10% of the people we deal with are 90% of the problem. They draw the biggest draw on our community. They take up ambulance services, they take up first responder services, they take up beds at jail that need to be made for other types of crimes. So when we can address these people, it does have a significant positive effect on services for the community.
Drug addictions that result from severe medical conditions can also start a cycle of helplessness. Nick Ferreira was working and residing in Los Angeles when a debilitating condition forced him out of work and ultimately out of his home.
I came down with a medical condition that caused me to have horrendous headaches, double vision, crossed eyes, and I was not able to work anymore. I was placed in the position of basically just getting by day to day because of this medical condition. In the meantime, I also became addicted to the pain medications I was given for the problem. And so I lost everything. I lost my home, I lost my family, my child. Although we're back together again today with my child, it's a wonderful thing, but for years there, it was suffering, not knowing, not able to work because of the eye condition. Prior to my ending up on the streets, I worked in the psychiatric field. I was a mental health worker at Northridge Hospital in Los Angeles area. And I worked with folks in locked units, and I also worked in recovery at St. Joe's Hospital in Burbank prior to this happening. And this is something I never believed could happen. It was just totally not something that was ever going to happen to me.
Project Recovery in Santa Barbara is the first step for many recovering drug addicts and the gateway to a more permanent, healthy lifestyle.
I think the correlation between drug addiction and homelessness is really high. Often people who are drug and alcohol addicted become homeless. With more treatment, I think we can intervene in that cycle and break it at some point and have better treatment options for the people who are suffering from those diseases.
Project Recovery works with the Santa Barbara Police Department to identify eligible clients.
I work with Officer Hove in restorative policing. A lot of times he meets people on the streets and has direct contact with them, so he knows kind of who is willing to go at what time, and he has kind of his finger on the pulse of quite a few people at once. And so when someone's ready, he'll approach me and kind of present the case and see if the person is appropriate for a program.
How did I end up at Project Recovery? I was homeless and I have an alcohol problem, so I went to go get help. I felt that I couldn't, I submitted. I was at the end of my rope, so I decided to go into detox.
The Santa Barbara Rescue Mission picks up where Project Recovery leaves off, allowing patients more time to develop healthy habits. Ferreira dedicated himself to recovery at the rescue mission and as a result was able to get a steady job again. His job provided him with the health care coverage he needed, turning a cycle of helplessness into hopefulness.
I personally believe that everybody should have an opportunity to reach their full potential. Homeless people are marginalized. Even after they get housed, in many ways they're marginalized. And that's one new avenue of change I think that needs to be explored, is the opportunity for everybody to reach their full potential.
Another effort underway is called Common Ground Santa Barbara. Common Ground is a collaborative effort of the nonprofit, government, business, and faith communities striving to end homelessness in the county. Recently, over 500 volunteers surveyed people experiencing homelessness in order to get accurate data, including where they are from and who is at the greatest risk.
Well, the survey is about data on those that are homeless in our community and asking really important questions, pertinent questions that a lot of us have been asking. Where they came from, what brought them here in the first place, and then what physical and medical conditions they're suffering from out on the streets.
Volunteers showed up at 4 a.m. for 3 consecutive days to head out onto the streets and contact as many homeless as possible.
I think a lot of the people were excited to meet with us. We actually had one man flag us down and say, "Hey, are you looking for me? Do you want to talk to me?" And we treat them like people, getting to know them. It's not just an interview, it's a conversation. A lot of the people just really appreciated someone to talk to instead of being looked over or being passed. I hope we break down the stereotypes. I hope we see them as humans and that we see their needs as they're able to be met.
Now that the survey section of the study is complete, the information will be used to target those most in need for limited housing resources. This strategy impacts the community through an immediate visible reduction in street homelessness and use of high-cost emergency services.
A few of those people that did the survey, they're now living here in Artisan Court. So we're already having an impact by making those connections with people and getting them off the street.
To view the results from the Common Ground survey and to find out more about the program, visit commongroundsb.org. Well, there are many reasons that Santa Barbara is the unique and vibrant community that it is. In our next story, we look into one of them that might go right over most people's heads. Walk down just about any street in Santa Barbara and there is one thing you are guaranteed to see: trees. It's estimated Santa Barbara has a stunning variety of over 100,000 of them. And whether they're on public or private land, in backyards, lining downtown State Street, in parks or in parking lots, those trees make up Santa Barbara's urban forest.
Our urban forest is a collection of publicly owned and privately owned trees. The city owns about 45,000 trees that it maintains. The remainder of the urban forest is the trees planted on private property, which includes trees in the front yards or backyards.
The city has an urban forestry program for a number of reasons. Number one, we have public trees in our street right-of-ways. We have trees in our parks and our open spaces, and all of those trees need to be maintained. Our staff maintains those trees on an annual basis for the health and the vitality of the community, but also the health of the trees and the beautification of our parks.
But beyond shade on a hot day and bright colored blooms every spring, how important is it for our community to have trees?
There's been a lot of research over the past 20 years about the value of the urban forest and just how hard our trees are working for us. First and foremost, they add an aesthetic value to an area. They add color and they soften the look of buildings, and they might even shade unsightly views. They cool an area. They also act as a wind block in the wintertime. They also add to property values. Studies show anywhere from 1% to 10% depending on the area you live in and the type and size of tree.
From an environmental standpoint, trees have been known, certain species of trees can improve air quality. They can also reduce stormwater runoff. As water hits tree leaves, it reduces the rate of water falling to the ground and then running off into the streets. They also provide habitat. We have birds that live in trees. We have animals that use trees, whether to forage or just to rest over. So they provide any number of benefits.
A more recently documented area of study has been just an overall quality of life. It's well studied at this point that they reduce violence in an area. They reduce aggressive driving. Folks are healing from injuries faster. People are outside getting exercise, less obesity, and in general, a healthier, happier community.
Because of the important role Santa Barbara's urban forest plays, the city has been working to quantify the value of it for the past 20 years. By completing an extensive park and street tree inventory and utilizing some cutting-edge technology, park staff were able to arrive at some numbers.
This was a program called the iTree software produced by the U.S. Forest Service. It puts a dollar value on our trees and quantifies it environmentally and socially.
The inventory found incredible diversity within Santa Barbara's flourishing urban forest.
Santa Barbara has a wide range of species, of large, of tall, of deciduous, of evergreen, and that diversity is what's important about the texture of Santa Barbara's urban forest. Every time you go around the corner and see something new, it came from a new place. We have almost every continent on the globe represented here in Santa Barbara, with the exception, of course, of Antarctica. It's that conservatory of the global biodiversity, the world's biodiversity, that makes Santa Barbara such a unique place.
Yet that lush, diverse surrounding is a surprisingly stark contrast from what visitors would have found as recent as 150 years ago.
What was originally here was not a very arborescent landscape. And what was really important for Santa Barbara was the history, the legacy of the plants people who built up everything that we have around us.
Because of its beauty and beneficial climate, many horticultural enthusiasts from around the world decided to transplant themselves in Santa Barbara, bringing their knowledge and seeds with them. People like Francesco Franceschi, Augustus Doremus, and Ed Orpit fostered the city's urban forest development. With their help, Santa Barbara blossomed into one of the most diverse, if not the most diverse, tree-filled city in California. To see the effect those Johnny Appleseeds had on our city, you don't have to go very far. Take, for instance, this flame tree located at the corner of Gutierrez and State Street. Franceschi planted this and many other exotic trees over 120 years ago. With trees like this scattered throughout town, it shouldn't surprise residents that their city has been designated a Tree City USA every year since 1980.
Tree City USA is an organization that certifies communities if they meet certain criteria. Since we've been Tree City USA since 1980, it shows a commitment to long-term quality tree care in this community. If we didn't care about trees so much, then we wouldn't be able to achieve Tree City USA.
One of the requirements of the Tree City USA designation is that participating cities have a plan to care for public trees in the community. For the city of Santa Barbara, that means a regularly scheduled program of watering and pruning, as well as removal of trees when necessary. Another requirement of the Tree City USA program is a tree care ordinance. According to Tree City USA's guidelines, a tree ordinance provides an opportunity to set good policy and back it with the force of law when necessary. Ideally, it will provide clear guidance for planting, maintaining, and removing trees from streets, parks, and other public areas. That policy is guided by 3 municipal codes: tree planting and maintenance, preservation of trees, and the dispute resolution process.
The whole purpose for this is to try and preserve this lush garden we have as a city.
To implement the policy, the city has a street tree advisory committee made up solely of city residents with experience dealing with trees.
The Street Tree Advisory Committee is made up of 5 members from the public that have been appointed by the Parks and Recreation Commission. They're all knowledgeable or have expertise in horticulture and tree management services. Currently, we have 2 landscape architects, a landscape designer, a horticulturist, and myself, a certified arborist, serving.
The committee then works with park staff to make recommendations to the Parks and Recreation Commission.
The role of the Parks and Recreation Commission is to consider, review, and act upon recommendations from the Street Tree Advisory Committee and from staff on applications in basically 3 areas. One is the removal of street trees and setback trees. Number 2 is some projects that will require removal or addition of trees. We don't review all projects, but we do review some. The third area that we get involved in applications are when street tree designations are changed. Every commission member comes prepared to our meetings when we're reviewing applications. They are all required to visit sites, and they all do. So we're all pretty familiar with what goes on.
In all cases, when it comes to trees in the community, safety is number 1. We look at, is the tree safe to not only pedestrians but also property? And then we kind of move on from there. Is the tree too large for the site? Is there going to be development that might prevent the tree from being a safe part of the landscape? So it's definitely a case by case, and there's a lot of factors that contribute to why we would recommend for a tree to be removed.
Beyond safety, the committee and commission also look at 5 conditions of the municipal code. The application must meet at least one of the following conditions.
Does removal of the tree adhere or serve the purposes of good forestry management? Is the character of the neighborhood going to be adversely affected by the removal? Is the topography of the site such that the tree should be removed? is the tree prohibiting reasonable development of the property? And the last consideration is removal warranted to protect persons and property?
The Street Tree Advisory Committee also considers whether or not the tree is a specimen tree and if the canopy can properly grow.
We really are advocates, not necessarily for the trees, but for the community and helping to make decisions that are best for everyone.
We are required to the best of our ability, follow the municipal code. And each application is reviewed on its own merits, and they're all very different. But if I were going to give you a straightforward example, if we get an application for a tree and the applicant wants to remove it because it blocks a view or because it drops leaves, those conditions aren't in the code. And the commission, barring some other circumstance, would deny that application. But if we got one from someone that wants to develop their property and has submitted the paperwork to develop their property and needs to remove a tree to do so, and it's reasonable development, well, that is supported by the code.
Although at times restrictive, many members of the community feel that the benefits of having a municipal code and guidelines for our urban forest well outweigh any sacrifices.
I think the city is a leader, and if the city follows the standards of the industry and promotes them in their ordinances, it helps educate the community on the benefits of trees and why we need to take better care of them.
It's definitely something that has enhanced our urban forests to have standards set forth, and it gives Santa Barbara that unique look. So these codes do work in favor of the public and public interest.
If there weren't policies and people did what they wanted, we'd probably see a degradation of the trees more and more, whereas in the 30 plus years I've been in this industry, I've seen it evolve and things were getting better, and the city and the community needs to support their urban forest.
Another way that the tree ordinance affects our urban forest look and feel is through street tree designations. Nearly every block in the city has a particular tree assigned to it. Here on the 300 block of West Ortega, that tree is the red flowering gum eucalyptus.
One of the guiding factors we use in our program is the street tree master plan. And that's one thing many residents may not know, but every block within the city has a designated tree species for its street tree. And that also helps us guide our decision making when it comes to maintaining the urban forest.
The city's municipal code isn't the only thing to guide residents. Since the community plays such an important role in the look and maintenance of Santa Barbara's urban forest, the city has recently created a free booklet to serve as a resource for residents.
About 2 years ago, we received a grant from the California Department of Fire and Forestry to do a comprehensive inventory of the city's trees, its street trees, but then also its park trees. As part of that, we wanted to develop an educational guide for Santa Barbara residents, because increasingly we've gotten questions: what kind of tree can I plant in my front yard? What tree looks good? What's an appropriate size? And so through this grant, we were able to create the guide, which is really a step-by-step how-to process.
We need the community's involvement, and the best way to get involved is to plant your own tree. And this guide is intended to help you do that. It's intended to help you plan, plant, and care for a tree, as well as understand that Santa Barbara has a healthy urban forest, that we have a forestry program, and some of the rules and municipal codes that we all need to adhere to so that our forest thrives and it can benefit us all.
The free guide features tips on selecting, planting, and caring for trees in Santa Barbara, with the ultimate goal of educating community members on the history and importance of our urban forest.
If you educate yourself and you understand just how hard our trees are working for us and the true value of them, there should be no question that they are important to our community.
We have a lush garden that we live in, paradise, in my opinion, of trees everywhere in the city. People in this community have really grasped the idea that trees are important.
With the help of a few horticultural pioneers, Santa Barbara is no longer a barren desert, but quite the opposite.
In some respects, we take them for granted. If we didn't have an urban forest program, we didn't have the ability to care for our trees the way we do, we would begin to lose them, and the way our community looks would be different.
You have to start with learning about trees. I think that's the first step. And if you understand about trees and their benefits, I think you can appreciate them more and then get more involved in their care and get involved in organizations that promote planting trees and caring for trees.
Ultimately, by recognizing our urban forests as a valuable resource, the community can work together to preserve and enhance it.
We want everyone to be an advocate of the urban forest and foster the urban forest along with us.
It's always, when I've traveled abroad, great to come home and see the trees that we do have. It's something that we shouldn't take for granted. Our trees are valued to our community, and it makes this place just so wonderful to live and enjoy, no matter what time of year.
The benefits from trees are immense, and I think that they are one of the reasons why both our residents and a lot of our tourists that come and visit us think that Santa Barbara is paradise. They really contribute to that.
For more information on the Urban Forestry Program and to get your community guide to tree planting, visit santabarbaraca.gov, click on the Residents tab, then click on Neighborhoods and Residents in the left-hand column, then on the Urban Forestry link. We'll be right back with more Inside Santa Barbara. No matter where you surf, your favorite wave begins right here, on your street. That's because storm drains lead straight to our creeks and ocean. When water washes into storm drains, pollutants like detergents, oil, and pet waste go along for the ride. Help keep our creeks and beaches clean. Take your car to a car wash and always pick up after your pet. Remember, the ocean begins on your street.
Oh, Periscope. Can't see anything. Sir, the crew is concerned about the amount of disposable bags we have on board. I will not hear of such things. Flood torpedo tubes. Flood torpedo tubes. Fire torpedo! Fire torpedo! Sir, it's a misfire. Disposable bags are jamming the tube. Captain, we've got to get rid of these bags and start using canvas reusables! Mister, I will not hear of this talk of treason. All ahead full, right full rudder. All ahead full, right full rudder! Engineering, what's going on down there?
Sir, we've been sabotaged by disposable bags!
Okay.
Welcome back. The Santa Barbara Airport is known as a convenient way to travel, and now SBA has made the process even easier. Inside Santa Barbara's Alex Coverson tells us about a new feature for travelers.
The Santa Barbara Airport works hard to make their passengers' flying experience more enjoyable. To make this possible, flyers must have fast and easy access to accurate airport information. With that in mind, Santa Barbara Airport has just introduced a new app for Androids, iPhones, and iPads.
Flight information is the single most requested item at our airport. Pretty much at every airport, passengers want to know the status of flights. So when we found out that the technology was available to have a real-time mobile app, we took advantage of it.
The free app provides answers to the questions most frequently asked by passengers.
Real-time flight information on arrivals and departures, as well as information on the rental car facilities in the terminal so that you can contact those companies, as well as airline contact info. It also has the fees for the different parking lots at the airport.
The SBA app is easy to use. Simply type in your flight number, and the app gives you all the information that you need regarding departures and arrivals. So if you're flying yourself or picking up your friend from the airport, you have all the information that you need right at your fingertips.
It is mainly a tool for the customers to provide convenience. We will be upgrading the app as time goes on, adding additional features as they become available when we open the new terminal. We'll be looking at opportunities to provide greater conveniences for the customers so that they can get the information they need quickly and pretty much autonomously.
So if I'm running behind on time, I can actually check that and get up-to-date information straight away. For me, it's very important because I'm over here on business, and I need to make sure that I'm going to connect to my flight.
Coming to the airport is less of a hassle. I don't have to wait at the airport as long now, and I can, if I know the flight's delayed or even if it's canceled, like, would you imagine having to come all the way down here, an hour-and-a-half drive, and just to find out that the flight itself was canceled or delayed for, I don't know, 5 hours? That'd be horrible.
The SBA app is the fastest and easiest way to access airport information.
It's right there. It pops right up versus signing in, putting in an address. If you're at home and you have the time or what have you, the information, there's more information available on the web page, but the app is fast, convenient, and with its real-time accuracy, it's getting used a lot.
SBA is one of only a few U.S. airports to have such an advanced app to serve its passengers.
It was just obvious that when that's available, people want to know that constantly. They're on the way, is the flight on time, they're waiting. So it was a natural. Once we found out they were available, we began to look into it immediately.
The new Santa Barbara Airport app utilizes the latest technology so that flyers can have what they want most: information.
And they want to get information without waiting in line, without having to make a phone call. And when you can give them one-touch information that's important to them. I mean, there's nothing more important than is my flight on time, or whether you're coming to pick someone up, or whether you're departing, on a flight yourself. So that's the thing. It's what they most need and most want, and they get it very quickly.
The application is available for the Android operating system as well as the iPhone and iPad. To download the application to your device, just visit flysba.com and check out the What's New section. While living in Santa Barbara, most people are aware of the importance of conserving water. However, knowing how to make your landscaping sustainable can be a challenge. In our next story, we show you how the city is trying to set the perfect example for residents.
Spring is here and it's time to tend to your garden. But before you plant, it might be wise to visit one of Santa Barbara's public water-wise demonstration gardens. These gardens offer insight to the best methods of gardening, both in being water-wise and beautiful.
We rely on water conservation to get us through dry times. So whether we've had a really rainy year like this year or drier years like in the past, water conservation is always extremely important. We have a limited source of water supplies, and water conservation, when we save that water, gets us through the drier times. One big area of water use is landscaping. Over 50% of the water used in residential use goes to irrigating landscapes. And by having a water-wise garden, that reduces the amount of water used in the landscape significantly.
There are many demonstration gardens in Santa Barbara area that specialize in water-wise plants.
The City Water Resources Division has partnered with Parks and Recreation Department to sponsor the low water using demonstration garden of Alice Cutt Park Memorial Garden. And the reason why Water Resources is partnering and is committed to this garden is the amazing beauty and diversity that it shows of what a water-wise garden can be.
In our particular garden here, we have many water-wise plant material that's been planted in this particular park. They are derived from the Mediterranean. They're derived from beautiful Santa Barbara.
There's an amazing depth and color palette and array of different kinds of plants in this portion of the park that is the low water using demonstration garden.
The garden was set up in regards to east and west, north and south. And when you go onto the Garden Street side, it's considered a shady area. And you can get examples there for folks that in their backyard, their front yard, if it has a northern exposure, you can see the plant material that's being used for that area there. As you go further through Mitchell Street, we have what's known as our sunny beds. And in regards to that, you would be able to see rosemary plants, other succulents, palm trees. In regards to the bed wall behind me, you get to see an array of different types of bulbs that flower in the spring that are readily available at our local nurseries.
In the park, there's a guide map and a small kiosk that has pamphlets that contain alphabetized lists of the park's water-conserving plants. Each plant is marked by a numbered stake. By cross-checking the list, you can easily find the plant and obtain information about it.
It's really just a great place if you're interested in water-wise plants in your garden to come and get an example and then take away a plant list where you can mark off on that list, these are the plants that I like, these are the ones I think will work in my garden, whether you have a shady area or a sunny area or a dry creek bed. There's just a lot of diversity and great examples.
We designed it in such a manner that anybody within the city who has a residential home or commercial site that would like to mirror this garden, they could easily do that.
Water-wise plants use a significant less amount of water than kind of traditional higher water using plants like lawn or more water intensive plants, and you can have just as much beauty and diversity with these plants. And that's why we have this demonstration garden, is to come and see. And this time of year, it's just fantastic. Beautiful flowers, so much going on, butterflies and smells, and I really urge you to come down here to the Alice Keck Park Memorial Garden to see how beautiful it is and what great examples of water-wise plants there are here.
The Firescape Garden is another area where water-wise plants are on display. It is located on the corner of Mission Ridge Road and Stanwood Drive across the street from Fire Station 7.
This garden is a very good example of what homeowners can do to provide great landscaping with plants that are both drought tolerant and plants that are suited for living in the high fire hazard area. This Firescape Garden has been set up as an example of the different plant types that homeowners can use to beautify their yard and landscape to make their home more fire safe. How the Firescape Garden has been set up is it's a really nice area that homeowners can come and visit and walk through to get an idea of what type of plants we're looking for.
The Firescape Demonstration Garden is sectioned into 4 zones, and each zone represents different types of vegetation, each planted with a specific purpose in mind. The garden uses fire-wise landscaping techniques as well as water-wise plants to visually demonstrate to homeowners fire-wise landscaping concepts.
As an added benefit for helping homeowners increase their landscaping and beautify their homes and actually take the plants that they see here at the Firescape Garden and implement those into their own garden, the Firescape Garden has provided every plant here with a name tag that shows their scientific name and then also the more common name. So homeowners have the ability to go back to their computers and Google search these plants. They have the ability to take it down to their local garden center or nursery and find out more information about the plants and talk to their local landscapers and sort of do research on their own so that they can go back, they know what plants they are, and they can use those plants.
The El Estero Recycled Water Demonstration Garden is a demonstration garden set up specifically for professional landscapers who are designing gardens and choosing plants that are irrigated with recycled water.
The El Estero Demonstration Garden is sort of a work in progress. Basically, each time something is rebuilt, then we're able to go in and landscape it. So we have different sections. We have the Australian section, we have the South Africa section, we have the California native section. So they're all Mediterranean zones, which means they're low water using plants. And we just sort of want to test out all these different plants to see how they do on recycled water, and then invite any landscape professionals down here to see how well it does if they are going to be incorporating recycled water in their landscaping. We also, up around the administration building, we have a lot of lawn, and that's always been on recycled water, and that's doing well. And we have a pond too with some pond plants, and that's on recycled water, and that's always been doing really well.
Recycled water is being used at many sites in Santa Barbara, including parks, the zoo, schools, golf courses, and the Arroyo Burro Estuary.
We've had great success with recycled water all over the city. Here at the demonstration garden, this is more of a demonstration garden for landscape professionals, not so much for the public, because it just showcases the different plants that we can have on recycled water. And we've had a lot of success here. The plants really like it, because one thing about recycled water, that it has higher nitrogen and phosphorus levels than potable water, which is basically plant food. It's like fertilizer mixed into the water. And so we have a lot of success with plants. Also, down at Arroyo Burro Beach, there's a restoration site there where a couple years ago They did half the site with recycled and half the site with potable to see how the California natives did, and there was no difference between the two, and so they switched the whole site to recycled water.
You can also learn about water-wise plants by visiting the Santa Barbara Botanical Garden. This year, in an effort to promote California native plants, the Santa Barbara Botanical Garden partnered with the California Native Plant Society to sponsor a native plant garden tour.
This is the starting spot for the Native Plant Garden Tour. It's a tour of 25 sites in Santa Barbara all the way to Thousand Oaks, starting here in Goleta, of gardens that feature at least 50% California native plants.
The self-guided tour gave many of those interested in California native plants a keen insight to their affordability, ease, and beauty. By using plants that are indigenous to the area and accustomed to Santa Barbara's semi-dry climate, we have plants that grow happily with minimal watering.
We want to show off using natives in landscapes and how they can help save water, look beautiful, help bring wildlife to your garden, and just their general well-being in the landscape and how they can beautify local gardens.
So, before you go to the local nursery, make a visit to one of Santa Barbara's beautiful and informative water-wise demonstration gardens. You'll be surprised by the numerous and beautiful water-wise plant flora that can be found in one of these demonstration parks.
To find out more information about sustainable landscaping and the demonstration gardens, visit santabarbaraca.gov/water and click on the Landscaping and Irrigation link. We'll be right back with more Inside Santa Barbara.
Hank is a happy man. Hank's happy because he knows he does all that he can to conserve water. Hank bathes for 5 minutes with a low-flow shower head, has water-wise plants such as native wildflowers. He only runs a full load of dishes and dirty clothes. And not to mention, he always keeps an eye out for leaks. This ensures that water and money are saved, and that's a reason to smile. Save water now. Visit sbwater.org.
This municipal course is exceptional.
It's just in better shape than it's ever been before.
This is the place to be if you really want to learn how to play golf.
You get a great course for the price.
Definitely affordable.
Great values on merchandise in the pro shop.
It's a nice, friendly atmosphere. It's absolutely gorgeous.
Welcome back. Santa Barbara is filled with many organizations working to make positive changes in our community. Up next, we show you how the city is working with some of them to make the greatest impact on at-risk youth. The South Coast Task Force on Youth Gangs is moving forward, strategically taking steps to help our youth make better choices and keep our community safe. The task force is building on the relationships and experience of the past 18 months and combining them with the leadership and direction of the Community Action Commission and a recently appointed coordinator. Growing up in East Los Angeles and eventually graduating with degrees from Harvard and USC, Dr. Gus Frias comes to Santa Barbara with a wealth of experience. He has dedicated himself to development programs that teach students how to replace self-destruction with a commitment to life and higher education.
There are a lot of lessons to be learned from over 25 years of experience in addressing gang prevention and intervention work. And one of them has to do with the fact that it is easier for a youngster to join a gang than to get out of one. So the focus here is really prevention. And we have a lot of good prevention efforts that are out there that I hope to bring to our schools in particular.
The lessons learned since the task force began its work in 2009 will serve as the foundation as the program advances.
We're measuring everything we're doing, so and that was the goal from the onset. We're looking at academic progress. We're looking at the services that have been provided to the youth with case managers that are assigned. So we're able to look back at our data and see what's worked, what hasn't worked. We'll be able to use that in the future to see, what were some real positive aspects.
The task force is already making great strides with Santa Barbara's youth. Students that have been in the program have increased their high school credit compliance by over 50%. More of their youth then comply with their probation terms as well. And students who spent their senior year in the program not only graduated high school, but are now attending City College.
One of the main goals is to assist to strengthen existing school community policing partnerships. And I believe that the best way is to go through the schools. The schools by law are required to have school safety teams that bring together law enforcement representatives, community-based organization representatives, along with educators, parents, and students. Our goal is to build on that existing strength and integrate gang prevention and education into them.
That momentum will be used to propel the South Coast Task Force on Youth Gangs into the future as they work to help at-risk youth.
In addressing gang challenges, there are three major strategies: prevention, intervention, and suppression. And there's no such thing as a standalone. The three need to come together and work to maximize each other's effectiveness. We need prevention, intervention, and suppression to work collectively to maximize our respective success. And my role is to facilitate this.
We've been able to demonstrate what we can do. That's our benchmark. So we don't go backwards. We don't slip backwards. And I really believe with Dr. Frias, with his background and experience working nationwide, let alone just down in Los Angeles area, he's going to bring a real richness of some ideas and energy.
The task force meets every 3 months. For more information, you can visit the Community Action Commission's website at cacsb.com. Although Santa Barbara's natural surroundings play a major role in our community's beauty, without people and programs to keep it looking good, our town would be a very different place. City TV introduces you to some of them who are doing little things that make a big difference.
It is hard to imagine a Santa Barbara without beautiful neighborhoods, but this doesn't happen without effort. With the help of dedicated people, Santa Barbara is able to maintain its gorgeous landscape and aesthetic appeal. Looking Good Santa Barbara is a city program bringing together residents, city staff, local businesses, and community organizations with the mission to promote recycling and reduce visual blight. Looking Good Santa Barbara created the Spirit of Service Awards to honor those who are doing their part to keep Santa Barbara clean and green. An example of a program that enables people to do their part is the City Graffiti Abatement Team. Graffiti is a continual problem nationwide. According to the National Association of Realtors, properties located in neighborhoods where there is graffiti vandalism lose 15% of their value. The city's graffiti removal program is dedicated to cleaning up all around the city.
Right now, they're hitting the railroad quarters really bad. That and also sidewalks. For some reason, the kids just love to do their thing on the sidewalk.
Studies show that toleration of graffiti may invite vandalism or other crimes. Rapid removal of graffiti wards against tagger notoriety. The graffiti removal program is committed to promoting a safe and clean community and provides residents with the means to keep Santa Barbara graffiti-free.
We help them out. We show them how it's removed. And a lot of times we go out there and just, and they're elderly people, a lot of times they don't have money and stuff. Mike goes out there and helps them out.
When a person calls the graffiti hotline, Georgia or another city staff member attends the call. The graffiti hotline can get anywhere from 40 to 50 calls a day, and the staff responds to an issue within 3 days that it has been reported. The graffiti program operates 7 days a week, and the abatement team begins their day at 3 a.m.
We have it pretty much open this morning, so they're just doing random cleanups here and there, so I can have somebody go right now. You going to be home? I've lived here 51 years, and Santa Barbara is such a beautiful town. I myself take pride in it, and the guys do too. We all live here and want it clean for our kids, our grandkids.
They go in good in the pockets, so if you guys want to take a combination of bags.
Another program coordinated through Looking Good Santa Barbara is the Adopt a Block program. The program promotes teamwork between the city staff and residents to keep Santa Barbara neighborhoods and business areas clean.
We encourage people to come out and adopt any block in the city that they would like. And what we mean by that is doing graffiti and litter pickup on those blocks. We give free supplies to anybody who volunteers.
The Adopt-A-Block program has assisted residents with keeping Santa Barbara clean since 1989. There are currently about 180 Adopt-A-Block members.
So we do a lot of Lower West Side, a lot of Lower East Side, but that's not to say that that's our only areas. We go to the Mesa, we've done Upper State Street, we've done State Street.
Adopt-A-Block has provided an easy way for people to do their part in keeping Santa Barbara clean and green.
It's a program that's actually sponsored and paid for by the city, and what you do is you sign up to be an Adopt-A-Block captain, and that means that you take responsibility as a citizen for trying to keep your block neat and clean. You pick up trash, you remove graffiti, you participate in cleanups, maybe you plant some plants, but basically it's a way for a citizen, for a resident, or even a business to participate in keeping the area clean, and it's been a very successful program.
My block, it takes 10, 15 minutes max, done deal. So after work, sometimes before I even go inside the house, I'll do a quick cleaning. This way before I get tied up with the household.
Both Sharon and Sebastian have been committed Adopt-A-Block members for 2 years. People just like you finding time in their busy schedule to help improve our community.
I actually live in West Downtown, and about 2 years ago, the neighbors in that neighborhood decided to take back our streets. Part of taking back our streets was putting in plants in the medians, making it prettier, and we hooked up with Lorraine, who taught us about the Adopt-A-Block program and encouraged us to go ahead and adopt our own unique blocks and keep them clean. So I signed up to be an Adopt-A-Block captain about 2 years ago, and I've been a convert and evangelist ever since.
As I was cleaning my block, people kept on asking me, and as I looked around, I see that there's a lot of blocks that need to be cleaned. So then I try to get somebody from that block to adopt. Yeah.
Very good. Here's a bucket.
So after learning about the program and hearing the stories of the Adopt-A-Block members, I decided I should adopt my own block. So I've dedicated about 30 minutes a week to keeping my block clean. And the kit provides everything that I might need, like gloves, tongs, trash bags, sponges, even graffiti remover. It's true. The Adopt-A-Block program is an easy commitment for a great cause, and I bet you could do it too.
A lot of people come to me, they see me what I'm doing, and they say they would like someone on their block to do the same. And I just said, well, why not you? You know, what's stopping you? And then, and I have a few kids at my house, to be quite honest. So if they're hot and heavy, they say, well, they like to do it. And I just, okay, hey, give me a few minutes. I'll get an application and fill it out, and I'll get you all set up.
This is civic engagement and civic responsibility 101, right? We're all citizens, we all live here, we all can take a certain amount of ownership of our city, and if we want to take it on ourselves to make things better, this is probably the easiest and simplest way to do it. It doesn't cost any money, just takes a little bit of time, and the differences are enormous.
The Adopt-A-Block program encourages residents to get involved because it builds ownership and educates people about what is going on in their community.
To me, it seems like an ideal way to just get out in the community as far as not only helping out with the needs that are around it, but just getting to know everybody, your neighbors, and sometimes we live right next to somebody, we don't know who they are, and it's just a great way to get to know them, talk to them, clean up, see the needs, and then even go further than that if possible.
I think we all want a clean neighborhood, you know. I know when I drive, you know, on my street, when I see it clean, it's just that much better, you know. And I wish somebody on each block would do it, you know.
The city is dedicated to providing more ways for locals to help the community. Another program that is focused on keeping Santa Barbara green is the Food Scraps program.
The Food Scraps program collects organics, food scraps, and any kind of soiled paper from local restaurants or businesses that are within the city limits. And instead of going to the landfill, where it takes up space, it is going up to Santa Maria to our commercial composting facility to get composted and turned into a soil amendment.
The Food Scraps program has been running for 3 years, and about 125 businesses are now participating. Not only are some of the largest businesses in Santa Barbara part of the program, but also supermarkets, hotels, and schools. The Food Scraps program diverts a remarkable 2,500 tons away from the landfill each year.
It's voluntary. We take businesses, you know, if they call us, and even if they only have a bucket full of compost every week, we'll still take them in our program and show them everything that they can do. And we also give, you know, any advice or tips if they want to do more waste diversion than that.
Located on Upper State Street, Farmer Boy Restaurant was one of the first to jump on board. They have found food scrapping to be a simple process.
We separate everything out here so the dishwasher doesn't have to do it in the kitchen. So on our bus carts, we have a place for everything that goes into the bus trays will be composted, except for the dishes, of course. And then we have little buckets on there for all the plastic and metal, and that goes into recycling.
New businesses are joining the program each month. The city encourages the food scraps program because there are many benefits to composting.
Besides the main benefit, which is the incentive of saving businesses money through increasing their waste diversion, the other benefit is to create a beautiful soil amendment that we can use right here in our community to create a healthy community for kids, for our fruits and vegetables that are grown in Santa Barbara County, and at our schools for their gardening projects at all the schools.
We've diverted 60 tons a year from the landfill. That's the big advantage. Second advantage is the composting comes back here, goes on the golf courses, the parks, and people can buy it.
The city provides all that a business needs to get with the program.
They furnished all the buckets and everything, gave us the first initial training, all the posters, and they come up and check on us all the time to make sure we're up to speed, and they keep us on the ball.
The city's food scraps program has proven to be a success across the board.
Besides the fact of saving money, all the businesses that are part of the program absolutely love the program. They not only feel like they're doing something to give back to the community, but they're doing something good for the environment as well while saving money. It's a win-win.
I'm so happy to be a part of this program and thank the city of Santa Barbara for including me and taking a chance on us, and I'm really, really happy with it.
With the city graffiti abatement team, residents cleaning up their neighborhoods, and local businesses composting, Santa Barbara is becoming a cleaner and greener community. This wouldn't be possible without ordinary people showing an extraordinary spirit of service.
For more information about joining the Food Scraps program or about adopting your own block, visit Looking Good Santa Barbara's website at lookinggoodsb.com or call 897-2526. For graffiti removal, you can call their hotline at 897-2513. Well, that does it for this episode of Inside Santa Barbara. If you have any questions or comments about the show, give us a call at 564-5311. And you can always watch the show online at citytv18.com. I'm your host, Dominique Blocker. Remember to get involved inside Santa Barbara.